Good existence to you beautiful people. This is Nicholas Jensen Denton here in the Truth Observatory, and I've got something on my mind as I always do. But first I must say that the spoken and the written, the perceived Tao, is not the eternal Tao. This is my disclaimer as an expression and manifestation of God. I must say that my perception cannot contain, nor does it come close to containing the totality of the human experience. Therefore, I must forewarn you, some of you could misconstrue my words, but I urge you to just listen with an open mind on my perspective and see how it fits in with yours. Because this is what we're all here to do, learn from each other. And here's my perspective. If we want to look at the religions of today and how they came into being, it's really as simple as examining the symbology and the words that they use. Now, I may put up a picture of the symbols I'm going to be talking about, but regardless, if you want to say, if you're looking at, let's say plants, a mango, or marijuana, right? This language in and of itself is a flash of the human spirit. And that's a quote. That's not mine. I'm paraphrasing. But it is one, just one flash, one expression, one glimmer of everything that is really beneath the surface of the collective human intelligence and consciousness. So it's important to really study language if you want to understand how collectives, how herds, how groupthink works, and then really want to open your mind to how fourth dimensional entities work, to how things can influence this reality from the non-physical, how this reality can influence the non-physical, which that basically means is understand that your attention collapses, wave functions, and then that's step one, that you're completely integrated with reality around you just by looking at it. But when we move beyond that and we move towards meaning, well, you have to start compacting and encrypting things. So we invented language, but the collective speaks through language. There's a poem, and perhaps I'll put this meme. Well, it's a meme I created. It's not really a meme. It's just a picture with some words on it. But it basically is saying that there is some sort of divine providence within language that unveils the characteristics of God. And if we are to look towards things such as anagrams or isopsophy or gematria, then we're going to see what we've really been able to encrypt and encode into language and really what is in ourselves already. Much greater, well, there are kingdoms inside. Anyways, let's say let's say marijuana. You want to discover the polarity. Because this universe, the first thing you need to become conscious is to be able to differentiate between states, right? And that's what determines if something is conscious, according to Jung and many, many others. Tom Campbell as well, who developed a theory of consciousness. So, differentiation of states. Not the most, but one of the greatest archetypes in these bipolar, bifurcated lenses that we all have within us is a male and a female. These are two poles of energy that exist in everything. They exist in atoms, on a much more redundified scale, but it expresses itself through the human being as well. We are obviously the highest creation, the highest epitomizations of that male-female polarization. But we all got a little female and male in us. This is a fact, because there's a Gnostic word for this, and the word is achimav, and it was spoken by Jesus in the Gospel of Mary in one of the Gnostic texts, but it means the totality of the male and female being contained within one individual. And so I believe it was Paul was whining to Jesus about why he accepted Mary into the kingdom of heaven, because she's a woman and he's a man. And Mary says, or Jesus says, no, I am, the Gnostic word is achimav. You can look that up if you want to. It's interesting gospel to say, well, it's not an interesting text to say the least, the Pistis Sophia. So we look at these bifurcation of states that we have. I'm trying to explain language here and stay on topic, but I really get off topic. Sorry about that, but maybe that's what's necessary. That's what we're here for. I'm trying to expound and release what's inside. So we've got this language. We've got this bifurcation of states. That's the primal. That's not the primal, but creation. The universe is division. It's a universe. It's one in a versus. It's one against the other. It's one divided amongst itself. Okay? Okay. So I hope you're tracking. These bifurcations that are within us, because we are an achimav, we hold the totality of the universe within us. And the male and the female poles are some things that we are still a little bit confused about in our culture today. Obviously, because there's 36 different abstract genders and there's 2 real genders. Well, there's just 2 real forms. Gender, again, language. Gender is just some sounds in the air. What you see is reality. What you perceive is reality. What you experience is reality. However, if you wish to find more of what this reality is about, you can look into the language. And I'm not the only one saying this, but you can it's as simple as looking at the marijuana plant. Well, no. Okay, you don't have to look at marijuana. You can look at Mary, the Virgin Mary. You can look at Mar, which is the sea in Spanish, right? If you go back to Greek, breeding female is mater, right? But the male is pater, or something pater. I don't know how to pronounce Greek, so I'm definitely butchering it. But if we want to look at these religions and how they tie in to the different aspects of divinity, like a supreme masculine force, right? God is a male in the modern triad and the turning of the tradition. Well, they express him as a male, but in truth, this is the God of creation. This is the feminine creative essence. This is the 7 days. That's the covenant of the creatress goddess. And this God is, in a sense, masquerading around as the real God, but as a false icon, as a false idol. No, wait, I remember. So we've got these poles. These are an expression that is universal to the human experience, as far as I know. And these aspects of the spirit are also expressed through language. And it's as simple as this. Like I was saying, the mater is the breeding female. The Maitreya is the goddess, the female goddess of birth and fertility. Or maybe that is mother, and I'm confused. Don't quote me on that. The MAgen star is the symbol of the seal of David, the seal of Solomon, the Star of David. It is the original name of this Jewish star is known as the MAgen star, right? And what what religion was before the Magans? It was the pagans. And these gods, they worshipped the phallus, right? There's phallic things everywhere. They worshipped sacrifice. They were death cults. The cult of Isis, the cult of Horus. There were sacrificial rites and rituals, which have since, when we transitioned through the epoch into a new angle of light, then we started to have different inclinations, right? And this is known in history. You turn to your history book, and we lived in a matriarchal society at first, and now we live in a patriarchal society. And we used to live in the matriarchal society, in the nature, in the woods where herbs were tribesmen, these things. But since something has changed, it has moved. There is a new king. Well, a new king took over. And that was for the past, they have been reigning. But this fucking deity is coming down. We all know it's coming down, and somebody else is going to take its place. So, I just wanted to talk about the different aspects of spirit. Mainly the two. I mean, there are infinite. But the male and the female, these are things that we really need to look at as a society and as a culture. As an individual, we need to meditate on these two things and look at ourselves. What is the masculine and the feminine qualities? The feminine, they seek to create, they seek to cultivate, they seek to what is the word I'm looking for? I'll just say like provide shelter and a home, and they want to grow a family. The male needs to protect, the male needs to go out and hunt and explore, and the male needs to fight, and the male needs to be thrilled, to chase its adrenaline. Needs to do a lot of things. Men got desires, women got desires too, but the point, you see, is when we're imbalanced and we have an obfuscated, interpolated system of spiritual, interpolated spiritual, it's a superficial system. I mean, it's so superficial. Let's drink the blood and eat the flesh of Christ as we pledge our allegiance to a dead man on the cross. For God's sakes, it's embarrassing that we're at this point, if you ask me. I mean, Mom and Dad, what did you guys do? But I guess I looked to the history text. They did so much. You never should underestimate the power and the wisdom and the compassion of our elders and our ancestors, because those are the people that we have to thank for everything that we can call ours. And if you begin the process of returning to yourself, you can enter into a communion with your ancestors again. They're on the other side of the veil. They're helping us through our life. They are our spirit guides. They are our higher self. They are different individuations of us. They are our higher self. The universe, it's a monad. In chemistry, they call it an Erlenmeyer flask. We're living in an Erlenmeyer. It's an enclosed system. We are all one. We're all part of each other. We need to collapse the polarities within us if we expect to evolve. Anyways, that is all. Thank you very much for tuning into the Truth Observatory. Again, the Eternal Tao. Fuck me. The spoken Tao is not the Eternal Tao. Have a good existence.